All right, good afternoon. I want to talk briefly to you about the funding landscape. There are many funders out there. In fact, there are more funders of research than one would imagine at first. Most of us know about the NRF, the National Research Foundation, and certainly it's one of the biggest funders in South Africa. But I do encourage people to think beyond the NRF. Not that the NRF is a bad funder in any means, but there are many other funding opportunities out there. So just for example, in the area of health sciences, there's the South African Medical Research Council, the UK Medical Research Council. Cancer is a funding trust here in South Africa. The Wellcome Trust is another one in the UK. The NIH in the USA and USAID all fund this type of research. But there are many more, many more. So the question is, how do you find these funding opportunities? Well, there are a number of ways of doing this. First of all, WITS has an intranet website that lists funding opportunities when they become available. We also have a funder database called Research Connect. Very easy to use this funding database to search for specific types of funding. And you can locate it here in South Africa, so you don't get swamped by funding opportunities from, that we're not able to access. Another way of finding funding opportunities is to read the literature. So if you read a paper of somebody who's working in your field, often in the acknowledgement section, they will acknowledge their funder. And that's a good way to find leads for funding opportunities that meet the area of the requirements of the area of your research. So look at those and you'll be surprised what opportunities you find that way. And then if all else fails, a Google search will get you all sorts of funding opportunities. Of course, with Google, you'll have to do a lot more filtering than with Research Connect that is designed to filter for you. So I think we must understand that there are more funding opportunities out there than we might think at first. So the key question then is how to manage all of this. And so I really encourage you to develop a roster of when funding calls for applications become available. Now typically these things are planned on an annual basis. So if it opens in April 2023, it's likely to open again in April 2024, an annual process. So it's important for you to develop a roster of key funding agencies and the programs that you think you can benefit from, and write that down in your calendar so that every year when that period comes, you can go and check, is the call live? Yes, it is. What are the criteria? So you can go ahead and make an application. The worst thing you can do is have to rush your application because it took you by surprise. So try and develop a roster of potential funders, their call dates, their criteria, so that you can be well prepared and make the most of these opportunities. Because if you miss a call, as I said, it's often an annual system, and then you have to wait a whole year for the next call to come, which can really set your research and innovation back. So I hope those few thoughts help you to understand the funding landscape, and remember, there are more opportunities out there than you might realize at first. Thank you.